Welcome back, my friend. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earning Title Podcast. And I have my friend Monica Tanner. Monica is a marriage coach, and she has a great book about bad marriage advice. And Monica, before I have you tell me about yourself, I'm going to ask you some really fast questions about marriage advice that I've gotten. And you tell me whether it's true, false, or maybe even like trash. Like that's actually so.
Oh, I
I'm gonna throw,
like this game.
yeah, you throw them back at me. Let me know what your thoughts are there. All right, first one: marriage should be 50-50.
Trash.
Trash, not even just false, trash, okay. What about, opposites attract?
Uh, True.
True, okay. Marriage takes hard work.
Yes.
Okay.
Agreed.
Um, you should put your kids before your marriage. Okay,
Definitely don't do that. That's like a recipe for disaster.
gotcha. Honesty is always the best policy.
I like transparency a little bit better, but that's true false-ish.
Gotcha. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Oh, I hate that one because where do you think the big stuff comes from?
Alright, so I'm gonna push back a little bit later when we start talking about it because
Please do.
it could be semantic, but I've got a theory on small stuff. A good marriage is a quiet marriage.
Is a quiet marriage?
Yeah, like,
Meaning
not
like no fighting or something?
like me, we never argue, we never fight, it's good.
Oh, trash.
What about, happy wife, happy life?
Oh, that's the worst one.
Do you want an angry wife is what you're telling me. I'm just
Yes, yes, absolutely.
some anger in
I
there.
say happy spouse, happy house, much
Okay,
better.
that's fair because it's not just the wife, right? The husband has
Yeah.
I'd like to be happy as well. Alright, so I think those are some pretty good ones. Let's go into that, right? Let's tell me why you came up with this idea that there's bad marriage advice and that there's things that we could be doing that are better. Where did that come from?
Well, it came from when my 21-year-old son called me and said, "Mom, I met the girl I'm gonna marry." And I was like, "Okay, tell me about her." And then he was like, "I'm gonna propose in a couple of weeks." And I was like, "Whoa, there is so much I want you to know about marriage." And I sat down and to kind of write him a letter about, just it was almost like a cautionary tale, like, here's a few things I want to warn you about. And it turned into this full-fledged book because I went back in time 23 years ago when my husband and I were getting married, and everybody has advice for the newlyweds.
Right,
And as a newlywed who was like dedicated to getting this right, I followed a lot of that advice like to a T until I realized it was wreaking a lot of havoc in my marriage. And now working with married couples, I recognize that there are some, really difficult pieces of advice that people say because they sound really good and they've been passed down generation to generation, like that happy wife, happy life one. I
right,
feel like men tell that to each other like at the altar, right? Like you're like getting married and like your best man or your father-in-law or somebody says, just as long as your wife's happy, you'll be fine. And
right,
that is trash. It's like the worst advice ever, but it keeps people very stuck when they try to, listen to the advice of their elders or so it just kind of morphed into here's all the things people are going to tell you and here's why this isn't good advice and here's how to do it better.
right.
So they're all well-meaning advice. I mean, it all comes from a place of love and care, but a lot of it is mostly outdated or it's just faulty advice.
Yeah, it's that's actually it's the pre-bachelor party meeting. We get advice and, "Hey, guys, happy wife, happy life." So, what if it's not happy wife, happy life, what is it?
Yeah, well, I like to say happy spouse, happy house. I mean, you want to make sure that both partners in the relationship are getting what they want and that they're happy and fulfilled and that there's room. This is the big one, that there's room for both of them, right? Because what happens if a husband is of the posture, it doesn't matter what I want. I got to make sure that my spouse is getting my wife is getting what she wants. It's a lot of pressure for the wife to kind of hold the emotional thermostat of the relationship, right? Like it's almost like, well, but I can't be disappointed. I can't be upset or else I'm sending the message that my husband isn't doing a good job or whatever, right? And also it gives the husband this idea that it doesn't matter what you want, bend over backwards to make sure your wife is getting what they want. And over time that causes a lot of resentment. And most husbands eventually withdraw because there's nothing for me here. Like, My whole life revolves around this other person, which in a good marriage, your lives revolve around each other, but you still have a lot of choice and a lot of power in the marriage, right? So that's a good healthy marriage. When one person has all the power and the other person is revolving around them, it creates a lot of problems.
Yeah, which probably I'm guessing goes towards marriage is 50-50. That's probably why you disagree with that. Explain that.
Yeah, well, I mean, marriage is 50-50. I mean, that's like I think you're going through stages and seasons where partners are giving more or giving less. I mean, if either one of you is under the weather or not able to give your percentage, then you don't have 100%, and that's problematic. But, I think marriage is more, again, it's about semantics, but marriage is 100, right? Like you're giving everything to the marriage. Then, if somebody is having a hard season or struggling for some reason, is under the weather, what have you, you still are giving, you make up the difference. And sometimes the two of you together only have 20%. And
Right.
that's when you call in help from friends, family, your support system. So, I mean, the whole 50-50 thing, that's just problematic, I think.
To me, that's always weird. Well, where's the other 50 that I'm giving? If I'm 100% and I'm giving my marriage half of me, so does that mean like where am I separating that? And I actually just did a podcast about remembering that you're on the same team as your wife. Because
Mm,
sometimes you like, well, I'll do this and you do this, and you're constantly like back and forth. I'm like, well, man, if I'm making her lose, I'm drilling a hole in my boat, and we're in the same boat and we're sinking. So it's like I don't have my side of the boat. We have a relationship. Without that, it has to be 100%. We're in the same boat, we're on the same team, we're hopefully going in the same direction. So I think that, that's super important.
yeah, and if you're in a situation where one person wins and one person loses, let me assure you that both of you lose because the person who loses will make the winner pay. I mean, that's just how relationships work.
Yeah, absolutely. I looked on your Instagram, it looked like you had a few kids. Is that
Yes.
true? 4 kids. I have 3, and, I came from a family of 4. Where are you, with, having a healthy relationship with your wife, but then having 4 kids or 5 kids, however many kids people have, how do you deal with, keep like, today is actually me and my wife's 21st anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
And, it's been a challenge in different seasons of our life to
Sure.
my wife is ahead of my kids, if I can say it like that, because me and her are going to be together hopefully another, 40 years, right? 50 years. My kids are going to go on and do their whole thing. How do you balance that? Because kids need so much.
Bingo. You nailed it when you said you and your wife started your family and you will be together after your kids. Like a good parent actually puts themselves out of a job. I mean, you're always going to be your kid's parent, but if you do it well, they leave, they become independent, and they start their own families. They don't need you anymore. And so if you have neglected your partner, you're going to have a big problem. And that's a lot of the couples that I see is they've been married 20, 30 years, their kids have left home and they're left to each other who they have neglected this entire time because they really oriented their family life around their children and they're realizing I don't know if we like each other anymore. I don't know if we even know how to be together or want to be together, right? And so throughout you're doing your children a huge disservice if you put them first. I mean, it's just you're falsely empowering them, but also it's really good for your children to recognize that you are a team, that you and your partner put each other first, that there are other adults that they can call on when they need to. So getting a babysitter for your kids throughout their childhood so that you can have a night away, a week away to care for your relationship. You're giving them so many gifts in that. One is that, they have other supportive adults in their life, whether that's grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle, or neighbor down the street, right? So you're showing them that there are other people that can support and love and care for them in your absence. But you're also showing them that you prioritize your relationship because when they grow up, you're going to want them to prioritize their relationship. You don't want them worrying that like, what are mom and dad going to do without us? right? Like, we are their entire worlds. They don't function without us. Like, we can't grow up and move on and create our own lives because somebody has to worry about mom and dad, right? You don't want to give them that impression. You want them to know that mom and dad are strong, mom and dad take care of each other. And so they are free to grow up and move on and have their own lives and feel confident and comfortable that mom and dad are going to be okay.
It's funny, my son's a senior this year, he'll be graduating in May.
Oh, so hard.
Yeah, and it's interesting, he's moving out of the country for 6 months in
Yeah.
June on, and we're so excited for him. It's gonna be awesome, but we're both like, "He's leaving." We're so thankful that he feels comfortable to move to another country and learn another language and, like, do all these things, but then, like, especially my wife, he's gonna be gone, and, like,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
went out last weekend for actually to celebrate our anniversary because it's hard in the middle of the week, and you have this feeling of, "He's gonna leave." Well, that's good, we did it. We made a kid that feels like he can leave, but he's leaving.
Yes.
It is a
Yes.
challenge.
If I could give you any advice about that, because my oldest is a boy too, and he left the country for 2 years actually right after he graduated from college. And you and your wife are both going to have emotions that you are not expecting. It's gonna be tough. So check in with each other, like, have a lot of compassion and empathy and just be there for each other. Be a good friend, right? Check in. Like, "Do you need a cookie? I need a cookie tonight." Like, "I need to drown my sorrows in some caramel popcorn," is what my husband often says, right? He's like, "I don't know, I'm just feeling it tonight. I'm missing our kids."
Right.
We have a grown son, like I said, who's married, and then my 19-year-old daughter is gone now, and we miss her, and sometimes it just hits us in, like, weird times and in weird ways, and we're like, "I just need a hug." Like, "I'm just missing my daughter," right? Or whatever, and so just be there, don't try to understand it, don't judge each other, just be a good friend.
We will attempt to do that. So, Monica, I have a question though. So I feel like we did a job, like he's willing to leave, and I think I put my wife first. I hope I have.
Yeah.
But I'm at an age where my friends are having kids go away and their life did revolve around them and they don't have that relationship with their wife. So they didn't do it right or they did what they thought was best. They put their kids first, between practice and soccer practice and all this. Now they're becoming empty nesters. How do you bridge that so that you don't get into divorce? Because it is amazing how many people in that stage of life, like, "You know what? I don't actually like you." Well, maybe they do, maybe or like that they did. How do they get that back?
I think I think you lay it all on the table. Like, "Hey, listen, we did spend an inordinate amount of energy on our children, and, they're gonna leave, and we're all we have, so let's figure out how to be friends." And a lot of people have to discover each other again. They have to get curious. They have to start dating each other again. They have to get to know each other. Be curious, ask questions, do fun things together, learn a new, like, take a class together, have new experiences together. Just put yourself back in that dating, like, "Hey, listen, you've spent so much of your time and energy being a mom, and I've spent so much time and energy being a dad. Let's learn how to be a couple again." And so that's really at the heart of it. What needs to happen is you've got to revert back to your dating days and get to know each other again.
Is that kind of where you would talk about your compassionate curiosity?
Mm. So, I mean, compassionate curiosity is just has to be part of everything that you do, of every season and every stage. The reality is so many people get this wrong. They think that the purpose of communicating is to agree, and people will die on that hill. So, like, a lot of times I have couples in my office and they'll be fighting over something that happened. So, like, maybe there was a difficult period of their lives, like where one of them had cancer or one of them had a drinking problem, or, there was some stage of their life and they're so set on arguing about the details. This is how it happened. No, this is how it happened. This is what you did. No, this is what you did. Right. And they're like trying to construct a reality that they can agree on, and it's not ever going to work because we are so different. Our experiences are so different. Even if you and I were to spend 24 hours together doing the exact same things, I guarantee we will experience it in two different ways. My reality will be very different from your reality, even if we're doing the exact same thing, right? And so understanding that is so important. So the purpose of rehashing the past or talking about a past experience or talking about anything for that matter, it's not to agree. It's not to get you to see it my way or do it my way. It's just for you to understand what my experience was like and for me to understand what your experience was like. And so, showing compassionate curiosity, if your partner says something and you're like, that is not how I remember it, it's to default to some curiosity. Like, tell me more about that. That's really interesting. Like, I can see how you would feel that way. I remember it differently, or I felt a different way about that, right? And both truths can be true at the same time.
Right. Interesting. I like it. One of the struggles in 21 years of relationship is having my wife telling me something. And I feel like she's either doing two things. She's either complaining or she's
Mm.
requesting. And how do you deal with someone that as a guy, how do I know when someone is just venting, just getting it out, or whether they're requesting help? Like, is there a process that you go through to like do that?
Absolutely. I mean, best case scenario is your wife preemptively starts with that. Like, hey, listen, I just need to vent for a few minutes. I just want you to listen, have some compassion, maybe ask me some questions, but don't try to fix it, right? Like, best case scenario, she leads with that and you know
Right.
exactly what it is you're supposed to do. But let's say she doesn't and she just launches into whatever she wants to tell you. You wait until she's finished, you listen, and then you say, hey, do you just want me to show you some compassion right now, or do you want me to offer you some solutions or some ideas? What is it that would be most helpful right now? And then you know, she'll tell you.
That's I wish, I don't wanna put this on ladies, but I'm a fireman, I work with 107 guys, and the frustration that you'll hear 'em on the phone like, "Yeah, why didn't you just do this?" Like, my wife
Whoa.
just complains about things all day and things then I tell her what to do and she gets mad at me, and in my head, I'm like, "She was not asking, she was just needed to get it out because she's at
Yeah.
home for hours," like, I but it would be helpful, like, "Hey, I just need to tell you this." That would be so helpful,
Yeah,
uh,
and sometimes I like to tell guys because it's difficult because guys are fixers. Here,
right.
men naturally want to solve problems. So their wife is telling them something and they're like, that has an easy fix to it, right? And I like to remind guys that when you immediately solve the problem, whether it's your wife or one of your children, what you're basically doing is saying to them, or you're showing them, I don't have faith in you to actually fix this yourself. So I'm going to tell you what I would do. And instead, I want you to just kind of stop yourself and be like, I'm a smart guy and I married a really good woman, or I know my kids are really capable. And so I know that they can solve this on their own. And so before you launch into the solution or what you would do, like say, yeah, that's a big problem, or man, I would hate it if that was happening to me, or but I know that you'll figure out what to do. And if you'd like some, suggestions from me, I'm happy to help you brainstorm, but you've got this, right? It's like more of that posture like, I'm a smart guy. I married a really smart lady who she knows what to do. She's just maybe venting or I tell my husband this all the time. I'm an external processor. So I'm going to speak out loud thoughts that are not fully developed all the I just wanna tell you what happened, and when I hear myself say it, I'll know what to do. So I don't need you to tell me the answer, I don't need you to fix it or anything like that. Sometimes I just need to say it out loud and be like, "Ooh, yeah, I that wasn't good or right," or like, "Let me think about that some more," or whatever, right? Like, I love to have a sounding board, but I do, I will say to my husband, "Don't fix this for me, but I just need to tell you what happened today."
I have a framework that I like. I don't always say it out loud, but I do try to think of this, and it's been very helpful. It's 3 questions. Does my wife need to be helped, hugged, or heard? And
Mm,
I can, like, just put that in my head, and as she's talking to me, going, "Which one does she need right now?" And if I don't know, I can ask, "Do you just you want me to sit here and listen?"
that's
"Yeah,
what I
I."
would say. I would say don't even try to guess. I would
Yeah,
say definitely ask because
yeah.
that's how you are a friend, right? Like, that's how you can be a good friend. But I can imagine if you're spending a lot of time with firemen, they're like, "Dude, here's the problem," and you're like, everybody's launching into the solution. I get it.
Yeah,
But a lot of times women, they do wanna be heard, hugged, or helped, right? And so just, like, ask them what like, "Where are you at in this process? Do you want a hug? Do you
right.
want me to just hear you?" Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. But kinda going back to, getting this relationship back together, maybe it's not even a kids thing, but just a general business where you feel like you're no longer married, but you have a roommate. And maybe it's a nice roommate who is very I feel like throughout the month, you go through the girlfriend stage, the wife stage, and the roommate stage, depending on how your
Good
wife's feeling.
cycle.
Yeah, and I'm okay with, like, a 3 or 4-day roommate stage, like, okay, like, this is we're gonna function as a team, you're a good roommate, but 3 or 4 days, but I know guys that have been in the good roommate stage for years, and some of them have been in the bad roommate stage for a while. How do you break out? How do you know that you're in a room versus a true spouse?
I mean, I think you'll know. I mean, I don't think you need my help to know whether you're in the good or bad roommate
Right,
stage. But I think, a relationship can only mature when it gets more truth out on the table. And so I think really bringing it up, like communication is key. So I'll tell you the through line of all of the bad advice in my book is because it fosters lazy communication. So that happy wife, happy life. Well, a husband doesn't ever have to communicate his desires because who cares? It's all about making his wife happy, right?
right,
Don't sweat the small stuff. I don't have to actually communicate what's important to me because I'm being a good husband by not sweating it or whatever, right? Like all of the bad advice hinges around this poor communication. Any good advice is going to challenge you to develop better communication skills. So if you feel like you're in a period of roommate syndrome where you're not communicating well, you're not working together, maybe you're working together as a team, but you're not getting, your needs filled. You're not being intimate with each other. You're not sharing with each other. You're not having those moments that just go, gosh, I just love being with this person, not even accomplishing anything together, just being here together with them, then it means that you've gotta talk about it, you've gotta bring it up, you've gotta make a request. Here is I think this is one of the most basic and important communication skills that there is learning how to make a request. Most people, when they're unhappy about something, they're not getting something, they're in a prolonged period of roommate syndrome, they'll complain. You probably hear them in the fire station, they're like, "My wife never puts out," whatever. They're
right,
complaining about something. And I will tell you under every single complaint, there's always a request. So if you find yourself complaining about something, what you can do is think about what is it that I want. So if you're like, my wife and I are never intimate with each other, you're complaining. What's the request under there? What's the desire? The desire is to be more intimate with your partner. The way you make a good request, the way you can bring that up is well, there's a lot of ways, but making a request has 3 steps. One is to be willing to rock the boat. Don't sweep it under the rug, don't push it down, don't go to the station and complain to all your friends and then not say anything to your spouse about it, right? So be willing to rock the boat and remember love. This is kind of a two-part. Remember that the person you're speaking to is the person that you love and you live with and you want to make things better with. So rock the boat, remember love. Number 2, be hyper specific about what it is you want and help your partner win. So if you want more intimacy, hey, babe, I've been thinking I would really love it if you would initiate, sexual whatever or intimacy a couple of times a week. I would really feel so loved by you if you would make an effort to you initiate intimacy once or twice a week. That's really specific. And what that would look like is, you send me a flirty text or, you entice me into the bedroom or you get the kids to bed or you ask me, you set it up by saying, "Hey, I'd love it if you would clean the kitchen and get the kids to bed. I'm going to take a bath so we can be intimate tonight." Like
right,
give them really specifically what you want and how they can win. Here's like a bonus if you ask, "How can I help you give this to me?" So if
right.
you want them to initiate once a week, you ask them, "What can I do to help this process?" And that might be the answer. If you will take care of cleaning the kitchen and putting the kids to bed, do bath time, all of that, so that I can have a few moments to kind of unwind and get myself ready for that, you got it, right? So, how can I help you win? That is the stance of step 2. And step 3 is if there's any progress at all, show appreciation. So, if your wife was like half heartedly sort of initiating, you point that out. You'd be like, hey, I really appreciate that flirty text you sent me. I know it didn't kind of end up the way we both had hoped. However, I appreciate the effort you made there. I would love it if you would just if we could give a little bit more, if we could actually materialize that into something, right? It's like giving encouragement and appreciation at the same time. So that is your 3-step how to make a request, how to get more of what you want in the relationship. Stop complaining and start requesting.
That's good. I found that one of the reasons guys mess up a lot is because this came from a book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Have you read that?
Yes, I love that one.
I forget what he calls it, but it's the unconscious contract. Like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I cleaned the dishes and I vacuumed and we didn't have sex." And your wife's like, "Yeah, why would we?" You're like, "Well, I just thought I took all this off your plate that you would know that that's why I was doing that." Which if you just told them, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'm
those
doing
covert contracts, like,
a
"I love
contract."
you, now say it back."
Yeah. Right, like, yeah, it's and we do that, like, that is a totally man thing to do is like, "Hey, yeah, I don't do the laundry, I did the laundry today, that's obviously me flirting," but that's dumb. There's no way for my wife to know that I put the laundry away probably in the wrong places, and she'll have to do it anyways, that was me flirting and trying to induce intimacy. So I do like the idea of being overt, telling somebody what you want. You need to have that, I think
Yeah.
that's real.
A good long-term loving relationship is a friendship, and we don't make our friends guess. We don't drop hints for our friends, we just tell them what we want. I mean, that is the kindest thing you can do for the person that you love, is to just tell them what you want.
That's really good. I'm gonna ask you because I said I'd push back on the don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah,
So I'll tell you where I'm coming from. There's some
okay.
small stuff in my relationship that I've decided that's my problem and it's not my wife's problem. For instance, and it's very small. For the last 21 years, when she puts the toilet roll on the toilet roll, it goes on the back. And then I flip it around. And I've never told her, she listens to this, so she'll probably know. But I flip the toilet roll around. I've never, because it's not a big deal. It's like, yeah, whatever. No big deal. When she puts the laundry away, she puts mine and hers together. She folds them all and then puts them all in one big basket. So if I want to put mine away, I have to sort them. And in my head, I'm like, sort them first and then fold them. And then I'll just grab my pile and put them where I go. But I never said anything because we're like 90-10 of her doing the laundry and me doing the laundry. So it's my problem. What do you mean by don't sweat the small stuff?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's a d it is a I don't wanna say a big deal to you, but it's obviously a deal to you because 'cause you're bringing it up. It's something that you notice over 21 years, you've been noticing this, right?
Right.
I wonder what would happen if you just asked for what you wanted. Like, do you like, in a lot of that, I wonder if your wife would even care. Like, I wonder if she even thinks about how she loads the toilet paper. That's always the example that I give of don't sweat the small stuff,
Right.
because as a woman, it drives me crazy when there's no toilet paper, right? And husbands don't always think about and kids don't always think about replacing the toilet paper because they don't always use it. They're not gonna get You're not gonna get stranded at the toilet without toilet paper, but I will.
Right. Right.
So, like, replacing the toilet paper is important, but also if you're gonna replace it, like, I like it to go over. It's the right way. It's the
I'm
right
gonna
way.
eat over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And chances are that your partner, if they're not doing it that way, probably doesn't have a super strong opinion. And so, like, uh, learning how to skillfully address the small things before you're 21 years in, and every single time you sit down at the toilet, you're like, ugh, why can't she just load it the right way? You've never
And
actually asked for it. So that's
maybe
on you.
right. Maybe because I'm not, I just do it. And maybe it's more of an OCD thing than a bother thing. I was just curious on what your
But if it
take.
would make your life better, why
Right.
not just ask her? If she's like, "No way, I disagree, it's this
Right.
way," well, then maybe you need to you can have a conversation about it. Eventually it'll be like a joke,
Right.
kind of like I love the thermostat thing, right? Where the husband's like lower it and the wife's like higher it, right? And it's like this thing their entire marriage. It's
Right.
because they disagree about it. But the
Right.
toilet paper, it might not be a big deal to her at all. She might not even think about the way she loads the toilet paper. And so if she could do it the way you liked it and it would make you happy, like you're like robbing her of the opportunity to do something super easy for her that would make your life so much better. Same thing with the laundry, right?
Right.
Like putting it in two stacks to her, it might not, it might be like something so mindless that she just didn't even think about that that would be a problem for you, right? And you could give her the opportunity to like instead of every time you're like digging through the laundry, you're like, "Ugh, I hate that I have to separate this myself." You could be like, "Look how amazing my wife is. She separates the laundry just to make me happy. Oh gosh, I love her so much even more." Like you're robbing your relationship of the opportunity for that type of appreciation by not sweating the small stuff.
Okay. I like it. Maybe I can. Maybe you've changed my mind. That's
Try it.
yeah.
Try it and see. Try it if like, just go to your wife and just say, "Hey, you know what? I've been thinking, and I've never said anything about this, and, like, it's so silly, but I wonder if you would mind as a favor to me, next time you do the laundry, just put your stuff in one pile and my stuff in another pile so I can just quickly grab my stuff without having to go through your stuff," and see what she says. She might be like, "No, that's stupid. I don't wanna do that." And then you'll deal with it, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
at least you said something. She might say, "Yeah, absolutely. That's a way better way of doing it. I don't know why I didn't think of it."
That's probably what because my way is logical, and boys are straightforward.
But don't bring it up as like my way is better. Bring it up like this is something that means something to me. And you could even be self-deprecating. Like it's this weird quirk that I have, like, but as a favor to me, could you try this and
I
see
like.
how that goes?
Are you counseling me right now? Is this what you do for coaching?
I do because
Right.
see, it's easy for you to think that like that is the better way. Like I know you were saying that as a joke, but
Right.
there's truth in everything you say. You might think that your way is logical and it's a better way, but
Right.
in reality, it's you teach your partner how to treat you, right? It's like it's kind of silly. The reason why there's no like manual on how to have a great marriage is because we're all so different. And so
Right.
what's super logical and like the right way for you might not be what works for my husband or, do you
Right.
ever like look at couples and you're like I could never be married to that guy or
Most of the
that woman, right?
guys I'm with, I hear their wife. I'm like, and I actually do. I do say this. I'll come home from work. I'm like, sweetheart, you're awesome. Some of the guys I'm with, their wives are crazy. Like just the
Right.
stuff that they put up with. I'm like, I'm so thankful I don't have to do that. And I go out of my way to say thank you for being normal and
Right,
not.
right.
She's a little crazy, but not totally crazy, right?
She's your crazy, yes. But it's important to realize that we're all so different, and so it's not like this is not like I am the expert on relationships, and I know that doing the laundry this way is far superior, so you should do it this way. No, it's like, "Hey, listen, this works best for me, so, like, as a favor to me, could you try this? Because it works better for me."
Gotcha. So that's coaching, right? And that's what you do, right? Do you offer as a service that people could, if they need, like, I really like what Monica said. How do I get someone like her or you to do that? How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I you can sign up to work with me. I offer a 30-minute free relationship breakthrough consultation kind of thing so that you can get to know me. I can get to know you. We can determine if we're a good fit. Listen, if I don't think that I can help you, I have dozens, hundreds of referrals that I can, and I won't try to help somebody that I don't think I can help. So I like to really like my clients that I feel like that's how I can be most helpful. So yeah, if you are thinking, man, we are really at an impasse in our relationship, we keep having the same fights over and over again. I don't even know if I like this person anymore. Um, y- y- yeah, I think getting a coach, somebody with a third perspective, not necessarily an expert, right? Like I'm not an expert on your relationship. I just have a third perspective. And a lot of times we get so caught up in the dynamic that we can't see how we're pulling each other into that familiar dance that is difficult. And so getting another pair of eyes, another perspective on it is super helpful.
Yeah. If they let's say they have a decent marriage, but just wanna get a little bit better, would you tell me about your book? And you have 2, right? Would you tell me about those 2?
Well, yes. So the book is bad marriage advice. And so, yeah, it can be helpful. I wrote it to be a really easy read. The stories in there, they're meant to be humorous, right? It's not like you're doing it wrong. It's just
Okay.
like, listen, if you might be getting stuck on this idea of don't sweat the small stuff, you might be holding in some things that could actually really enrich your relationship. So, yeah, that's the bad marriage advice book. I also have a journal. It's called the Date Night Journal, and it's a commitment to going on a date once a week. 3 hours a week is what I recommend that you should spend together. Get a sitter for the kids. If your kids are older, let them make plans or whatever. If you're feeling in a financial pinch, there's creative ways to do this. Trade with a neighbor or something. But I do think that it's so valuable for couples to spend 3 hours a week having fun together, getting to know each other again, just really tapping into that dating energy to keep that love, passion, intimacy alive in the marriage. And so it's a date night journal. You make a bucket list and then you write a little bit about all of your dates. So by the end of the year, I say that you're documenting your love story one date at a time. Both of
For
those can be found on Amazon just by searching the titles.
and we will link that. And as we kinda get wrapping up, do you have something that a couple could do today in maybe 5 minutes that would increase their relationship, improve communication? Is there a small habit that I could, today when I see my wife, we could do this? You got anything like that?
Mm. So I've been talking a lot about this for some reason. It's been coming up a lot, but my father-in-law, whom I never met, he passed away before I actually got to meet him. But on his headstone is this quote that he lived by, and I get to experience it through his son, my husband, and it's such an incredible, powerful, beautiful way to treat other people. And the quote is, "What do we live for if not to make each other's lives easier?" So, I think one thing that you can do today to strengthen your relationship is ask your spouse, what can I do for you today? Right now, in this next few minutes, or today, or tomorrow, to make your life easier? What is one thing that I can do? And then listen.
That's awesome. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Good question. I don't think so. I've loved our conversation. I think we've had a really good time, and I hope that it's helpful to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my friend, thank you for listening to this podcast. My name is Danny Dumas, and I will talk to you later. Bye.